this is a slightly different approach that a group in particular, a research group in particular, took, which is with modeling, which is how fast would a species or would a biome have to move to keep up with climate change? So this is sort of an interesting question, I think. So they decided to call this the velocity of climate change, which is sort of a catchy phrase that helped make it sort of a popular concept. So by velocity, they mean the local rate of displacement of climatic conditions. So if you have a habitat somewhere in the landscape and you change the climate, how fast do the organisms that want to stay in that environment, how fast do they have to move to keep up with where that environment is going? So how fast the climate changes, it's a combination of how fast the climate changes and then how far an organism, or you, if you feel partial to a particular climate, have to travel to find or keep up with that suitable habitat. So in general, how fast a species has to migrate to remain in the climate it wants to be in a suitable climate. And I'm going to ask that maybe you pause and look at this video. He does a really great job of explaining what they did in this work. David Ackerley, he does a really nice job with communication. Actually, it's a nice video, and I'll post it right next to this video. Okay. So there's been people that have worked on this idea, not just David Ackerley in that group, but there's also others who have looked at the velocity of climate change in the past. So say from the end of the Ice Age, trying to get an idea of how fast have species and biomes had to move in the past. Thinking of, the end of the Ice Age being sort of a time of climactic change that, perhaps might be sort of fast. So people have looked at this using paleoclimatic or paleo data, things like pollen records, and we know a lot about what vegetation looked like in the past, and they combine all of this information about climate, and where plant species were, and came up with a climate change velocity of 0.002 kilometers per year. So current velocities, as you may expect, are up to about 20 kilometers per year in parts of Arkansas, California, the Midwest, and Southwest. Yet on average, observed on average for plants and animals that are moving in the Americas, we're seeing them moving at a rate of about 0.6 kilometers per year. So kind of a discrepancy there. Okay, and then so what are future velocities going to be like? And one of the groups in class will be looking at this very question. Okay, and then in class, again, we're going to talk a little bit more specifically, partly through using some models about the impacts of climate change and the predictions of models like these ones for what will happen to people and species living on land and oceans and in the oceans. People don't live in the oceans, I'm sure you know that. But then we'll also talk about some more human-specific issues